Today's experience was sent to us yesterday. It's concerning the wildfire of Los Angeles. God again visited a brother, one of the firefighters, and he returned with a shocking experience you need to hear, a message directly from God's throne. Kindly stay to the end to understand His will experience. My name is File. God showed me mercy, that's why as soon I could speak, I had to send this to all platform that will listen. I have sent this to over 42 other channels hoping that the world will see beyond what they see in Los Angeles. I saw shocking things, but what struck me most was God's message to everyone. As you listen, remain blessed. It started like any other day in the life of a firefighter. The alarm blared through the station, calling my team into action. January 2025 had been unkind to California, and Los Angeles was no stranger to wildfires, but this one felt different. When we were called, we assumed it would be a few hours' work, a blaze to contain, extinguish, and move on. Little did we know that this fire wasn't just a fire, it was a force. As I write this, Los Angeles lies in ruins, and the fire still burns. We threw everything we had at it, water, fire retardants, and every ounce of strength we could muster. The aircraft buzzed overhead relentlessly, dumping load after load of suppressant, but it didn't seem to matter. The flames roared back with a vengeance, as if mocking our efforts. On the ground, we were drenched in sweat, covered in soot, and exhausted beyond words, but there was no stopping. Every second counted. I remember one moment vividly. We were stationed near a line of trees, trying to cut off the fire's path. The heat was unbearable, like standing in an oven with no escape. My partner, Jake, was just a few feet away, shouting over the roar of the flames. His face was smeared with ash, and his voice was hoarse from yelling. "It's like it's alive," he said, half laughing, half panicked. I didn't reply. I couldn't. Deep down, I felt it too. The fire wasn't acting like any fire I'd ever seen. It moved too fast, too erratically. It jumped barriers that should have stopped it, like roads and rivers. It would flare up in places we'd already doused, as if taunting us. I remember looking up at one point and seeing the sky turn orange, not from the sunset but from the sheer intensity of the flames. It was as if the sun itself had given way to the fire's wrath. We worked tirelessly, rotating shifts, bringing in reinforcements, and deploying every resource we had. But nothing seemed to make a dent. It was like the fire was feeding on something beyond the physical, something we couldn't see or understand. At night, when we'd take brief breaks, the team would gather, barely able to speak. The air was heavy, not just with smoke but with a strange sense of dread. I couldn't shake the feeling that we weren't just fighting a fire. It felt like we were up against something bigger, something darker. I know it sounds strange, like I'm being dramatic or reading too much into it, but the fire felt alive. It wasn't just destroying, it was consuming with a purpose. And that purpose felt malevolent, as if it had a will of its own. We were doing everything we could, but every day, it seemed to grow stronger. Looking back now, I can't ignore the feeling that we were battling more than flames. Something unseen, something relentless, was driving it forward. And no matter how hard we fought, it felt like it was laughing at us, daring us to try and stop it. January 10th will stay with me forever. We were fighting to contain a critical section of the blaze. If it spread further, it could leap across natural barriers and devastate an even larger swath of land. The battle was fierce. The heat was unbearable. I began to feel my breathing faltering, my strength waning. At first, I thought it was just exhaustion. I pushed on, trying to hold the line. Then it hit me. My lungs rebelled and I collapsed to the ground. I lay there, coughing, gasping, and then silence. When I opened my eyes, I wasn't in the fire anymore. I was in a strange place, one that seemed neither here nor there. Around me I saw dark figures, demons. They stood at strategic points, unmoving but menacing. It was as if they were monitoring the fire, ensuring no one could stop it. They didn't speak, but their presence was suffocating. I found myself standing in a place that looked like a courtroom, though it was unlike any courtroom I had ever seen. The space was vast, almost endless, with no walls or ceiling, yet it felt enclosed. A strange light illuminated everything, not harsh but radiant, filling the place with a sense of gravity and reverence. Rows of figures were seated, their faces obscured, but their presence was commanding. At the center of it all stood two figures. One was radiant, clothed in a light so pure it was almost blinding. The other was dark and oppressive, its very form seeming to drain the warmth from the air. I couldn't hear what they were saying, but I understood their roles instinctively. The radiant being was an angel, representing Los Angeles, pleading for mercy. The dark figure was a demon, pressing accusations against the city. I stood frozen, trying to make sense of what was happening. The weight of the moment pressed down on me, not just physically but spiritually. Then, a voice spoke near me, not loud, but clear enough to cut through everything else. "The demon is claiming legal grounds," it said. "The sins of the people have opened the door for this destruction." I looked closer, and though I still couldn't hear their words, I could feel the arguments being made. The demon pointed to records, images of events, words spoken, actions taken. It was as if the collective choices of the people were laid bare for all to see. Mockery of God, laws and policies that defied His will, lives lived in deliberate rebellion, all of it was being used as evidence.